G'day, everyone. Welcome to another Toon podcast, the Southern Hemisphere's biggest and best podcast for all things Newcastle United. Tonight, joined by Craig in his brand new shiny kit, freshly delivered. Craig, how are you, mate?
I'm loving it now. I've got my new kit. Took longer than I expected to get you, considering the dispatch note still says it's down in Brisbane. But now I might get two, who knows? But no, it's a nice fitting shirt, better quality than the previous ones. But loving it.
You want to stand up for the for our YouTube watchers to give a bit of a look? There you go. Or lean back on your chair. There you go. It's a nice fit.
Good quality. It actually says Newcastle United on the badge, which is always a bonus.
Yes, that's a plus. Doesn't
Newcastle.
So were the Champions League badges available when you bought it or not?
Nah, they're club shop only, I believe, which is a bit shit because I really wanted those for obvious reasons. But everything else is pretty good. There wasn't even any option to get a name and number printed on the back, if I remember.
Would you have got one?
Nah, because this Queensland heat just warps them anyway. Everyone I've had since, it just peels off within a matter of weeks. So it's pointless. It's a massive waste of money.
If money wasn't an issue, like you were Dimmy or Bobby or someone like that, who would you have got on your name?
I never go for a current player because I don't think anyone warrants a name. I go for like the nostalgic type names. So first choice is always Shearer for obvious reasons. But my hero growing up as a kid was Mickey Quinn. So probably would have been Quinn number 9, something like that.
Quinny. Nice.
Quinn number 9, Gaza, something like that, you know?
Yeah. Sorry, it's remiss of me to mention if you're still with us after the first 2 minutes to make sure you give us a like and a comment on the video. It helps us out with the algorithm, and we're trying to build our fan base, if you want to call it that, or fans of the show. So the more you help us out, the more that we can get ourselves out there, and we really like what we do, and we think we deliver some pretty good stuff. So yeah, right. Give us a like or a comment. If you're listening to it on your podcast, give us a rating or a review as well. And if you have just joined us, make sure you jump into our last video. We had a nice little half an hour fun size pod with I can't remember. Was it Trevor? I can't remember. I think I've just made that up. From for the Milan club in Melbourne. Obviously with the big news of Tonali signing in the next, or not signing, I think he's already signed, but being announced in the next day or two. You give us some really good insights about him and him as a player and what we can expect over the next sort of 5 to 6 years, hopefully. So yeah, I encourage you to all jump in and watch that or listen to that. It's really, really good. But we might start with Tonali, Craig. We understand here at the 200 podcast that the deal will be announced in the next probably day or two now that he's finished up with the Italy under-21s. Obviously disappointing exit for their Euro under-21 campaign, not making it out of the group, which says a little bit about the state of Italian football, I think, at the moment, Craig. I mean, their senior side, if you want to call it that, has really probably under-delivered, you'd think, in the last 5 years when it comes to major tournaments. But how excited are you to see him announced?
It's game-changing, isn't it? Because it just like that message or the text that Jack shared in the group chat the other night. It was a massive long thread. I can't remember who done the original post, but he copied and pasted. I think maybe in Craig Hope. But we never.
No, I think it was Edwards. I think it was
Luke Edwards. All right, okay,
yeah.
I always get
friend of the pod.
But yeah, basically, we never anticipated to get a player of that stature, that caliber, this soon into the project, and to get him at such a bargain price as well. 55 million quid, what's been reported. Considering what other clubs are spending on, I mean, it's 2 Declan races for a kickoff, or close to it.
Yeah, it's a good way. It's a good currency. It's a good currency now, isn't it?
It's batshit, but yeah, absolutely looking forward to it. Can't wait for him to be unveiled in a black and white shirt. Then the second part of the project can get started with this new season.
Yeah, I think from what I remember, pre-season of the season just gone, we were lucky to have Andy Naylor, the Brighton correspondent for The Athletic, and we were mainly talking about Dan Ashworth and how he operates and what can we expect from Dan Ashworth. And he actually spoke to us off air, and he just mentioned, and he said, if my phone rings, I have to go. Is that okay? Because it was right in the middle of the Basuma transfer from Brighton to Spurs. And he said there's a fair bit of shit going on between the two clubs because Brighton obviously they're haggling for the highest transfer fee to be announced, and Spurs want the lowest transfer fee to be announced. And I asked him, and I said, is this normal, like between the two clubs? He goes, oh, it's nearly the biggest sticking point is what the announced transfer is going to be. Like, forget about what the real number is. That's the biggest sort of argument. So I mean, what were the reports coming out of Italy? It was up around 70 or 80 million, and it was a record signing, which is really interesting, Craig, because I think the way we've approached this transfer was really, really smart in terms of finding a club with good players who need money and sort of targeting them. I know the Italian league has sort of been left behind, I guess, a little bit. Like, it was a power league sort of through the 90s, wasn't it? And AC and Inter were two of the biggest clubs in the world. But sort of as of recent times, they've kind of been left behind a little bit with like English Premier League kicking off and La Liga, and even with sort of PSG's dominance and the players they've got. Like, more people are actually probably taking more interest in the French league than the what are they called?
French
Serie A.
Ligue 1.
Yeah. No, Serie A. That's
Serie A. Yeah, sorry, man.
Yeah. So, and like, honestly, one could maybe argue that the Bundesliga has gone past it as well. Like, it could be fifth or sixth in terms of stature around Europe, and they have left. And I think they did speak about the previous pod with the new regime at AC Milan, and it sounded awfully familiar. It sounded like Mike Ashley, to be honest. But so I think, if you believe reports, that they went in for Barella at Inter, and then they sort of found out that Inter's pretty good for money. So they sort of quoted him a massive price. And then they've gone in for Tonali. I think not expecting it, I don't think, to go through. Like, he's the homegrown kid, future captain, sort of nearly their best player. And they threw a cheeky big and it was accepted. So they have been really sort of street smart with how they go about their transfers, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely. It kind of reminds me of when we went for Rooney when he was still at Everton. And I think it was Freddie Shepherd who went to the Chronicle, went, do not break this news early or else we will lose him to somebody else. And that's exactly what happened. It went front page of the Chronicle, Toon bid for Rooney. It then went national. He then signed for Man United. If this news had broke early, then maybe he went somewhere else. Maybe he went to a bigger high-profile club. He would have went for more money or anything. But luckily, it was all done under the radar enough to get it signed, sealed, and pretty much delivered before anyone knew about it.
So, yeah, it actually leads me to my next point, Craig, with the whole, I don't know if you want to call it a smokescreen or sort of in the shadows and not really being public, which has been a key trait, I guess, of our new ownership and sort of management team, where nothing really gets leaked anymore. I mean, you get all these wankers on Twitter who are in the nose, and they're like constantly wrong. They're wrong because they don't know. It's just, they're just guessing because nothing gets out anymore. But it sort of leads me to my next point with James Maddison, Craig. I know that I think a lot of fans were expecting to get done, and then it sort of didn't get done. And I don't know about you, I didn't think it was going to get done. I mean, because I think we'd sort of moved on from that and moved on to a different player. But I mean, like, we all would have seen the stuff on social media with Callum Wilson in the England camp with photos with him and Kieran Trippier and all that sort of stuff. And I know you thought, oh, they're onto something here, but I thought they were just being fishy, like just being a bit smart arsey, and knew that was going to get reactions off everyone on social media. Now this Tonali stuff's happened. I kind of think that they might have been in on it. You know what I mean? And I think feed the narrative that, James Maddison and this, and they're all chummy and buddies and everything like that, knowing that he probably wasn't going to come. but it sort of led everyone up the Maddison path and completely away from Tonali. And so I think the club might have told them, well, you go play this Maddison stuff up, and we've got our business over here. We're going to try and sneak through the back door while everyone's looking at James Maddison. So it's like, I didn't think that at the time, but now all this Tonali stuff's come, and especially that article with Luke Edwards about how they really wanted a bit of a covert operation, I guess, to get him over the line. It makes me think that maybe that they were sort of conspirators in the whole thing, where send everyone the wrong way, and then sort of it all pops up, and and you're like, oh shit, did you just lead us all up the garden path?
It could very well be. The club tend to be master tacticians now in not just things on the field, but obviously off it. There's deals which have been done again last season. You look at Isak. That was, no one knew about it until he was pretty much stepping off the plane at Newcastle Airport and on his way to Tyneside for a medical. It was, I love how the club are doing things now. Yes, there's the breaking news anticipation. We put a bid in for such and such player, but I would love to wake up one morning and just see Twitter has exploded because we've signed a player. He's at St. James's.
Yes.
And nobody knew anything about it whatsoever. That would be absolutely amazing. And if it was not necessarily a worldly player, but somebody who was high caliber, someone of the likes of Tonali, who's not world class yet, maybe. That might be a sticking point, but he's definitely that player who will get to that level at some point, I reckon.
Yeah, I think that's a plan. I think they're stocking young sort of talent under 25 with the view to all come through together. I mean, like you've got your Isak, Botman, Bruno, Willock. Who have I missed out? Isak. Like, there's a real young nucleus there of players to sort of drive the club forward. And then now we've got that sort of base. We can, I guess, cherry pick a little bit with what we've got as the sort of older guys start tapering off, I guess, towards the end of the career. But back on Maddison, where were you on it? Like, were you flat when you sort of seen that we missed out, or did you think we were going to get him? How does it all sort of, now that it's all been announced and official, how does it sort of sit with you?
To be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed he's not part of the team, but only because we haven't signed somebody who is as good as or better than him just yet. So there's that little bit of case of will we or won't we? I do think we will, and I do think he would be in a good addition to the team. I know there was a few doubts about his character and everything I got from one or two of us on the pod, and maybe a few other Newcastle fans as well. But he was a long-term target, if you want to call it that, because obviously last summer, both ourselves done the breaking news pod that an official bid had been made. January, apparently, we were back in for him as well. But whether this summer, it was a case of let's just cool it a little bit because he's asking for stupid money and he may be wanting to go towards the bright lights and cocaine towers of London. But, we will see whether it turns out to be a good move for him. If it does, fantastic, because he is a quality player. But right now, I'm a little bit miffed that we haven't got him. But that could all change if we sign somebody of equally good quality or higher.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not bothered. I was never I'm not bothered because he didn't sign. Like you would have read in our group chat. Oh, I seriously couldn't care if he played with us or not. Like, he's a great player. I'm not going to shit on him now because he's not playing for us. He's a great player, but I just don't get the whole point of getting hung up on people who don't want to play for us. Like, there's no point wasting your energy on other people. Like, let's focus on Tonali and anyone else we bring in between now and the end of the transfer window. Like, I don't know if missed out is the right word. I think we might have had a nibble, but I don't think we were chips in, if that makes sense. So missed out. Well, yeah, I don't think we'll ever know if we actually had a serious crack at him since the season finished, or I don't even know if we had a nibble in January, to be honest. I know that the club was pretty out there with the fact that they didn't want to spend that much in January because they were saving it for the summer and they couldn't get both. And I think they went down the same path with Gordon, who we forgot to mention earlier, the younger profile who can come up and they think he's got potential and things like that. So I don't think they missed out. I think they decided it got to a point where they said, "Oh, I don't think this is for us anymore. And we don't want to pursue it any longer." But I do think, even though we are really diving into that age bracket, I still think if we can try and pick up a couple of not old heads, but maybe someone around the late 20s in that sort of age gap, just with Champions League experience, because I think it's going to be really important.
Just about to mention that.
Yeah, just for that. I don't know. They're different games, aren't they?
Yeah. You need a different level of mentality to play at the top level. You really do.
Yeah.
And some of the players, they may get there, and some will already be there. But some of the squad players will not cut it at that level, as we know. Hence why they're going to be either farmed out on loan or sold this summer.
Yeah, but even like, I mean, we have, look, Trippier's had obviously Champions League experience. I think Botman might have had a little bit.
Bruno too, I think.
Bruno, yeah. Now we've got Tonali, but apart from that, I don't think anyone else has. I don't think Isak did, and like Wilson and Maxi, your Murphys, Willox, all them haven't. So I think it's going to be really important just to sign. It only needs to be one or two players with Champions League experience. Just it's going to, especially the home games, they're going to get a bit out of control, I think. So it's going to be good just to have that sort of level head and just sort of keep control of your emotions, because the crowd's going to be absolutely feral in a good feral, but they're going to be feral. So it's just just a couple of people just to, keep control, keep everyone's heads in the game and things like that. Also, I think it was a couple of days ago, we woke up to a report as well with being linked. Well, I think it said we actually made the bid for Tino Livramento from Southampton, 20-year-old right back, English right back as well. So he sort of ticks that homegrown sort of quota button as well. A really good player. I think he's made 30 appearances for Southampton. He's coming off an ACL injury. I think the report mentioned it was 15 million, which he's got very high sort of hopes on him. So 15 million is probably unders, really, if he's sort of lives up to what the reputation. I think he's a former Chelsea player, and
he is.
Southampton knocked
They're
it back.
Expected a cut of the transfer as well.
That's why I think they've knocked. I think that's why they want more. So because they're going to have to give some to Chelsea for it. So I know you weren't. I think I wouldn't say overly excited. It might be the right word about it all. Do you want to explain why?
It's not necessarily excited about the signing a new player. It's just I don't think it's a position we need to have much focus on right now. I know we're going to be playing more games than ever this season because of the Champions League, but I think there's other positions that need to be filled first before we start looking there. All credit the lad if we do sign him. Apparently, Fry and Razor could be going the other way. That's something that's been muted with it as well, going back down to the South Coast for him. But if we do sign him, fantastic. Don't know a huge amount about him, to be honest, as I mentioned in the chat. But I just think, there's other positions we should be focused on first.
So what about if I said to you that Javier Manquillo has been told he's free to leave and he's keen to go back to La Liga? Would that sort of sway you a little bit more to say, oh, that's okay because we've got one out, one in?
If we've got Livramento literally nailed on, but you've also got to think there that we've then got two right backs who've both had ACL injuries in less than 12 months in Kraft and Livramento. That's the case. And speaking from someone who's snapped their ACL twice, it's not fun. You never fully recover from it, even at such a young age, I don't think. Yeah, you will lose a yard of pace. But I think having two of them with major injuries where you miss at least 12 months of your career, will he come back fitter, stronger from it? Hopefully. Will he be a good signing? Hopefully. We will see.
Would you loan out Harrison Ashby if Livramento went, or would you keep him as that insurance policy if they both got ACLs?
I would keep Ashby around because if we lose Trippier, Ashby is probably the direct replacement because he's good from set pieces. He can get a cross in. He's got a decent tackle on him. and he's young and hungry as well. And he'll be biting at the bit just to try and get into that starting 11 or even just making the bench. I think he made his first appearance, was it in the Chelsea game for us? He was a named sub on the bench. And
yeah, he didn't come on though, did he?
I can't remember. He was definitely named on the bench anyway.
I don't think he did.
But he's got to be chomping at the bit to even just make an appearance for her, if that's the case. Kraft, he's probably fallen down the ladder because of his injury. But Livramento, again, you're right about the whole English quote. I think I didn't realize he was English till I Googled him, to be honest.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like an English name. No,
he doesn't, does he?
No, Livramento doesn't really scream English for me. And then I think we went to bed last night with the breaking news.
Not together, by the way.
No. I wouldn't mind it, but it just not last night anyway.
No.
That Dominic Szoboszlai has sort of generated a little bit of interest with Liverpool, and there was quite a bit of, I don't know what the word was, anger maybe or against Liverpool for doing it, but this is the pool we're swimming in now, isn't it?
It is.
If we get linked to these players, all the other bloody good clubs are going to be sniffing and trying to have a crack as well.
Absolutely. As soon as that drop of blood hits the ocean, the sharks come sniffing, don't they? It's and as I mentioned yesterday, I don't think he'd be a good fit at Liverpool. They've got too many quality players in the position he plays already. Unless they plan on flogging them or loaning them out or doing whatever, I can't see him getting that starting position. Whereas if he's saying to us, he's going to take Miggy's role straight away, isn't he? Or at least he'll be blended in how Botman was earlier on in the season. A few sub appearances, and then he'll take the starting lineup. But yeah, Liverpool.
It was only one or two, wasn't it, for Botman?
He missed the Liverpool game. I remember that. He didn't start that one. That was Lascelles and Shaw. He was at the Man City game. He played that one. I can't remember which was he. Must have been the Man City game was his first start. But he didn't start from the very beginning.
I reckon that was the third game.
Yeah. He was definitely... I wouldn't even call it eased in because, again, he wasn't just like the odd sub appearance. He was just literally put in straight away or from first 5-6 games, something like that.
Yeah, but, I know that Hal has got a reputation, I guess, for sort of drip feeding new recruits in, but I think it's a horses for courses. So like Kieran Trippier come in, played straight away because it was an instant improve in that position. Nick Pope come in, he was number one from pretty much the way he signed. Bruno, not so much, but you got to remember the team was on a really good run then. So it was, and Eddie, it was, as we all know, has been really reluctant to change winning lineups and stuff like that. So Bruno just had to bide his time and then sort of wait for his opportunity. And Isak, well, he comes straight in because Wilson got injured and we didn't have a striker. So it's horses for courses. I think that's my. It's not a question mark with Tonali, but I think he's going to have to do a fair bit of work on his fitness to get up to where he needs to be to play in this team. And Anthony Gordon found that out in January. And but he openly admitted at the end of the season that where he'd come from was nowhere near the level that he needed to get to. So the good thing is, especially about Tonali, is he's got this whole preseason now to get his fitness up and get up to where he think he needs to be to be a really key contributor in this team. So I would touch on last night as well. Matty Bonswell, one of the academy players, has been loaned out to League Two side Newport County. So hopefully that all goes well for him. Good luck, Matty. And I know a big fan of the show, Mark Gillespie, proposed to his partner overnight as well. So congratulations to you, Mark, if you're watching. Last sort of thing I want to touch on, Craig, this was mentioned a couple of days ago. It's going to be the never-ending story, I feel, which is the stadium revamp. An interesting story come out. I'm not sure which outlet it was publicised in, but with the club buying back the land behind the Gallagate, the obvious answer is to extend the Gallagate and we can increase our capacity in that. But this report, and apologies for if you're the author and you've tuned in for tonight's breaking news show, but get in touch with us in the comments as well if it was you who wrote the story. But the interesting thing was that the owners are really keen to get the capacity up to around 60,000, maybe a little bit more if possible. And like I said, the obvious answer was to extend the Gallagher. Now they've bought that land at Strawberry Place behind it. But the report was saying that the East Stand could also be as part of the renovation or the expansion. It did mention that with modern architecture and all that, obviously behind the stadium is heritage listed, I think. So
Grade 1A.
Yeah. So that stuff can't be touched, and there's a lot of rules and regulations around even things to do with like sunlight and things like that. But the report had stated that with this new modern technology and architecture, the East Stand could potentially be expanded as well and not actually affect the stuff behind it. So did you come across that?
I did. I read a few articles
Of course
about it. I also watched a few videos on YouTube. One of the good ones I watched actually was Tyneside Life, where the bloke who presented, his name's Eddie. He just had a random off the cuff idea where apparently the houses inside they're quite dilapidated. They're not in good condition or anything. They look great from the outside, but if the owners were to make an offer to the owners of the buildings and say, we want to buy these property off you because we want to extend the East Stand, and that gets all approval from, I think it's the National Trust or something along those lines. If they approve it, because it's going to be commercially viable to the area, to the centre, to the club, it could create more jobs, that type of thing, then it could get approved that they bulldoze them and they then extend the East End out that way. Well, the other option, have it all glassed out, so they allow that natural light to come through. That was a big thing.
That was what I seen as well. The whole glass thing.
Mm-hmm. And the row of houses that faces the East Stand, turn all those into a boutique hotel for the club, and have little restaurants and cafes at the front of them. There's also the club could buy the building off the owners, turn it into a hotel, do it all up the Spartan side. The club then gets extra revenue from the hotel, the restaurants, the bars, everything that are attached to it. And apart from the Chelsea hotel, there's not many others that have got a hotel that close to the stadium. And again, just another way to boost revenue on there as well. And that could potentially work as well. Really smart ideas, I thought, on those two.
Yeah, for sure. And I know with our new front of shirt sponsor that you are proudly sporting at the moment, they are a public events company. I'm sure they've got some really cool ideas to sort of generate. Not that match day needs any extra sort of pump up to get everyone going, but that's their one wood. That's what they specialize in. So whatever they decide to do, I'd expect from next season a very different maybe fan experience outside the stadium as well. Whether there's some more pop-up bars that are more linked with the club, like you said, generate that more revenue and stuff like that. I know the corporate suites, I think, in the Leisure Stand are all getting renovated as well. So I think a few people have lost their seat and been sort of like not misplaced, but sort of put off in another area as well to cater for these brand new, really fancy pants sort of corporate area as well. So then you can imagine how much tickets for them suites are going to be now. But it's all a part of the plan, isn't it? It's all the revenue side of things and how can we make money. So you have to spend money to make money, don't you?
We've known that from since the 7th of October 2021, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly right. I'm surprised you haven't got that tattooed on you somewhere, actually.
That's a very good idea.
Or if you've bleached your hair, so there's no reason why a tattoo maybe on your back where no one's not that we're going off script here. I never understand back tattoos, Craig. I cannot for the life of me understand why someone would get a tattoo on their back.
And also, when you go to the barbers and they show you a mirror at the back of your head, how often?
I say the same thing. What are you showing me for? I'm never going to see it. Like you can do, and most of them go, "Oh, it's just a trust thing, so you know that I done the right thing." I said, "Oh, whatever." But yeah, like tattoos, like the whole idea of getting a tattoo is you like the design and you want it to be on you forever, which is great. Like I'm not a tattoo hater by any stretch of the imagination, but I just can't quite understand the concept of getting it on your back
Mm-hmm.
when you'll never
It's
see
strange.
it. Yeah. Like I said, we are getting off track, but I think that'll just about wrap us up, mate. Unless you've got anything else you want to bring to the table before we wrap up.
Nah, just let us know in the comments down below what you've thought about what we've talked about today. We'll get back to you in the comments as well. And if there's any position that you think the club needs to focus on and what player you think would be a good fill for that, again, just let us know in the comments down below.
Yeah. What would your next one? What's your next position you think we should target if you had to rank them?
I'm going to say left wing, attack and mid, hybrid of the two.
Yeah, I think that midfield is critical as well because I reckon we were one short. We needed another one in January, and we ended up losing Shelby. So I think we need two more for rotation and depth and everything like that. So that's probably the next one I'd go for as well. And then maybe a left back, a young right-sided centre back as well, and then another young winger forward to sort of play third string behind Isak and Callum Wilson. But yeah, like I said, if anyone's got any ideas, chuck them in the comments. Hit us up on our socials. We'll get back to you. We love interacting with everyone and stuff like that. But that'll do for tonight. Thanks very much, Craig.
Cheers, mate.
Enjoy your night. Enjoy your brand new shirt. Wonder how many times you're going to wear it before you wash it?
I'm not going to wash it because everything will fall off.
That's what I hope you were going to say. And we'll keep shitting on Castle until they give us free stuff for taking me money from my jumper. All right, that'll do. Thanks very much, mate. Thanks, everyone, for watching and listening. We'll see you next time.
Cheers, mate. Have a good one.